Have you ever wanted to work in politics? Have you ever wanted to like get into this world? I can tell you right now, I work for a political organization. I work for a PAC. I do consulting on the side. I've run for office. And one of the questions is that I get very often, Darrell, how did you get into all that? So I'm going to tell you that story right now. Picture it. The year is 2010, and I've been working for the Texas prison system for 5 years. You ever hear the I think Oprah said it, that when God first speaks to you, it's a whisper, and if you don't listen, then it's inaudible, and if you still don't listen, it's a brick upside the head. Well, that's what ended up happening for me. I ended up making it to 5 years, and when you make it to 5 years working for the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, you get to attend this little meeting, a little luncheon with donuts and orange juice, and they give you your certificate. So I'm attending this thing. I go up, get my little diploma, take my little picture, go back to my seat, and the guy next to me says, "Oh, I thought they used to frame these." And so the person next to him jumps in and says, "No, no, 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 no. You get the certificate at 5, you get a framed one at 10, you get the plaque at 15, and you get the grandfather clock at 20. So I'm like, wow, like, damn, is that where we're headed? Like, I didn't plan on being here 5 years. Is it going to be 20? So that was sort of my whisper, like, get up out of here, right? Uh, at the time, I was a lieutenant, and I was a fairly young lieutenant. I think I was 23 going on 24. No, yes, I was 23 going on 24 years old. And so when you're young and you work somewhere, and I'm pretty sure some people watching this might be young, working somewhere where they have an old way of doing things. And so you come in and you want to make things new, make things more efficient. And so that's what I was doing at the prison, and things were working well. So I got pulled in by the Warden J.W. Mossbarger, at the Alfred Mack Stringfellow unit. It's Ramsey 2 down in Rosharon. And he said 10 words that changed my life. And I'm going to tell them to you, and hopefully this clicks for you. If I'm talking to you, you'll know. If I'm not, then not. He said, "This is not a place for innovation and fresh ideas." And I got a chill when he said it. It was as if God was speaking to me. This is not a place for innovation and fresh ideas. And so what I took that as, Darrell, this is your invitation to go do something else. So I thought about it for a few weeks. I had just hit my 5 year mark, and I knew that if I left the job, that, on good terms, that I could always go back. So I sat down with my mother and I told her my plan. I'm going to leave this job. I've got like $10,000 saved up, and I'm going to, live for 6 months, but I need to move back home. I can make this 10K stretch. And, if you got a black mama, you already know what my mom said. Have you lost your mind? You giving up your state job with benefits? I said, yes. I said, I have to take this jump. And if you're listening to this, if you're watching this and you're like feeling like you need to take that jump, this may be your signal to do so. Put it down in the comments what your jump is, or if this is speaking to you. So against her well wishes, I decided to take that leap. So I wrote a very lengthy letter of resignation, and I put in my 2 weeks, and I put the warden's words in bold in the closing. And I quit my job. And I told everybody about it. And when you make a decision like this, it feels good for like the first couple of weeks. For the first couple of weeks, you're telling people, "Oh, I quit my job. I took a leap of faith. I sure did." And then maybe 3 weeks in, I remember things had changed at home because I'm sleeping at the couch at mama's house. Remember that. And if you have a black mama, you also know what it's like when those cabinets start slamming. She was bringing me flyers telling me that Sam's Club was hiring for stockers, right? She wanted me to go and get a job. And instead of taking one of those jobs, what did I do instead? I started volunteering. So I ended up going to a Harris County Young Democrats meeting. Wherever you are, if you want to get into politics, that is step one in getting a job in politics. You want to find your local club, your local party, and you want to go to one of their events. That is where all the people are. The movers and shakers in politics are at meetings like that. And yes, they're not the funnest meetings. I will tell you, that meeting was very boring, okay? There was a list of speakers that were all boring, and then there was one. Her name is Erica Lee. So Erica Lee, a sister, spoke, and, at the end of it, I kind of went up to her, and I let her know, "Hey, I want to get in this thing." She said, "Well, what do you do?" I said, "I'm actually, looking for work, but I can volunteer for now." So Erica, we volunteered at a university one day. She told me to be there at 9 o'clock. I was there at 8:30. I treated my volunteer opportunity as if it was a real job. She asked, could I? I said, yes. She said, jump. I said, how high? And I wasn't getting anything at the time, right? And occasionally my mom would see me getting ready for work, quote unquote. And she would say, "Oh, where are you going?" "Oh, I'm going to volunteer." And she would say, "You volunteering, don't pay anything? You didn't quit your job and you volunteering, right?" And so, after a few weeks, I would say it was like maybe a month of volunteering. I'll never forget the first time I like checked my checking account. No, I take that back. I didn't check my checking account. I used to bank with Washington Mutual. Y'all remember Washington Mutual before they went under? I would get a text every time I would spend money. I would get a text saying, "You just spent, $3.30 at Taco Bell, and this is your new balance." And I remember looking at my balance maybe a month in, and I had blew through half of that $10,000. How did you spend $5,000? Well, if you don't know, come in a little closer. I'm going to tell you how. When you stop working, okay, you got time to spend money. You going outside, you doing different stuff, you stopping at Ross, you eating out, right? That is what you're doing. And so my initial plan was starting to look like mom was right. I should not have quit my state job with benefits. So things were going pretty good. Eventually, Erica invited me to the Latino Trailblazers luncheon. It was one of those $100 a plate fundraisers that I had never been to, and I was super excited. And I'll tell you something about Erica Lee. Erica Lee is the type of, and she's still like this to this day. She's about her business, okay? If she invites you to something, you better show up. And if you're going to be late, you better let her know, right? Because she's about her business. So I have this Mitsubishi Eclipse that has messed up alignment, and I'm buying these $30 tires every other day. And I have this flat tire, just to recap. And y'all will never guess what happened next. Think about it. Yes, you guessed it. I had another flat tire. And if you've ever had a blowout, you know what it feels like. It's kind of like a yon 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 that you can kind of feel. And then that smell of burned rubber is something that you just never forget. I was coming down Westheimer and had that flat. And so I pulled into the Galleria parking lot and I started making phone calls. I called my mom. She didn't pick up. I called my cousin Chris. He didn't pick up. I called my friend Tamisha. She didn't pick up. Nobody was picking up. And in between these calls, I'm sending Erica to voicemail because she's now calling. The event has started and is almost over. So at that moment, everything started crashing down. I thought to myself, you know what? I was stupid to quit my state job with benefits. You know what? My mom was right. I'm just going to go in the Galleria. They have a movie theater. I'll watch a movie, chill out until somebody can take me home, and I'll just never answer Erica's calls again because there's no way she's going to believe that I had another flat tire. I'm going to look like a liar. Who has two flat tires on the way to an event? If you're late, just say you're late. But no, this actually happened. So right at that moment, I thought about it. The Latino Trailblazers luncheon was at the Royal Sonesta Galleria. This is the Galleria. So I looked it up. Now keep in mind, y'all, this is 2010, so this is before Uber and Lyft, okay? There was the Hail a Cab app on Yellow Cab, but you didn't want to use that. It was not Uber. It was not Lyft. And I was, some 14 years younger and some 50 pounds lighter. And I thought to myself, I can jog there. I was a pretty avid jogger at the time. And so I took my tan suit jacket off and I jogged the roughly mile and a half to get to the event. You know what it's like when you get somewhere and it's hot and you out of breath and you gotta pee and you discombobulated, right? So I go in, I go to the restroom because I really had to go, right? And then I come out and I make my way over to the registration table and I give the lady my name and she's looking at me and she's like, "Sir, the event is over in 20 minutes." And I'm like, "Yeah, but," and she's like, "Okay." And she goes ahead and she finds my little name tag and I fix it to my blazer. And I walk into this room and she points where my table is. And the table is all the way towards the front. So I walk up there and I'm looking for Erica. And I notice that Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee is sitting at Erica's table. So I think to myself, if the Congresswoman is sitting at your table, you must be somebody. Little did I know the somebody that Erica Lee was. Hint. So the event is now over and everyone is coming over to the table telling Erica how well her mother spoke and how much her mother was doing in the community and basically praising her mom. And then I realized Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee is Erica Lee's mother. And just as the planets were aligning, it was almost like that scene in The Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith at the end when he starts crying. And she looks over to me and introduces me to her mother. She says, "Mom, this is Darrell, the young man that I was telling you about that is volunteering so vigorously. He's a super volunteer. He's so good at what he does." And Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee looked over to me and she said, "Young man, yes, I have heard about your work. What is it that you do? Are you looking for work?" The words wouldn't even come out. It was literally like that scene. I was like, "Job, yes, please," right? And Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee told me to be at her office, or not her office, but the party office that Monday morning at 9 a.m. And I was. And the rest is history. And Did not expect to choke up. But, you know, there's so many people who play that role in your life. There are so many people that, if given the opportunity, would play that role in your life if you did your part. Your part may feel a little inconvenient. A quit job, a job that you quit. It may be hanging around a different crowd. It may be some changed habits. But we all drive a 15-passenger van, and we all get to decide who gets a seat and who doesn't. What if I decided to continue ignoring Erica's calls? Probably would have been back working at the prison right now. What if I hadn't taken the chance to take the leap to quit my job? I was, for 23, working at the prison with a free place to live and basically a state job with benefits. But sometimes it requires you to step up to the roulette wheel and push your chips across the table and make the bet. So here's my challenge for you. What is that bet for you? Put it down in the chat. And if I'm talking to you and this is your sign, this is your whisper, you can either do something with it, or like the old, I think it's Langston Hughes poem goes, what happens to a dream deferred? I'll never know, because I'll continue chasing them, and I challenge you to do the same. Please share this video, comment below, and let's continue this amazing conversation.